Most Americans think cars die at 150,000 miles. They don't. I work behind a parts counter every single day. I see exactly what kills modern engines. Cars die because owners don't know basic maintenance. Today, I give you my 6 unbreakable rules. The exact advice I give my own family. These rules push any car past 300,000 miles easily. No gimmicks, no dealership upsells, no BS. These 6 rules cost $65 total and work forever. It permanently pushes any modern vehicle past 300,000 driven miles. There are absolutely no expensive dealership diagnostic fees involved. There are absolutely no shady mechanics touching your heavy vehicle. There are absolutely no complex digital tools required to start. I'm going to show you the exact $15 chemical that obliterates an $800 dealership invoice in rule number 4. But first, you must understand exactly how this trap is set. Dealerships aggressively charge $8,500 for a massive, catastrophic engine replacement. These 6 scientific rules completely eliminate that predatory mechanical service. They work instantly at a microscopic, molecular level inside the block. They violently strip away years of fatal corporate neglect entirely. You simply pour these exact chemicals directly into your machine. We are completely dismantling the predatory global automotive cartel today. Your heavy vehicle will violently outlast their planned obsolescence completely. The modern automotive industry operates a massive $136 billion cartel. They extract their absolute heaviest profits directly inside the dealership. They aggressively weaponize a massive concept called planned mechanical obsolescence. They desperately need your expensive vehicle to fail highly predictably. They aggressively stretched routine, fluid maintenance intervals to dangerous lengths. They aggressively commanded consumers to change oil every 10,000 miles. They loudly advertised the complete chemical myth of lifetime fluids. They violently lied about permanently sealed automatic transmission metal boxes. This mathematical business model aggressively guarantees massive, catastrophic engine failure. The failure perfectly strikes at exactly 65,000 total driven miles. That is exactly 5,000 miles after your factory powertrain warranty expires. You instantly panic when the dashboard heavily illuminates in bright red. You tow your violently shaking car directly to the dealership bay. The smiling service advisor aggressively attacks your extreme financial anxiety. They blame you completely for the sudden catastrophic mechanical failure. They violently trap you in an endless 84-month automotive loan. They aggressively design heavy engine covers to hide the truth. They violently remove physical fluid dipsticks to enforce total dependence. They completely rely on your absolute terror of highway breakdowns. They desperately need you to remain completely mechanically ignorant forever. They print fake lifetime coolant intervals directly inside the manual. They aggressively plot your total financial destruction inside corporate boardrooms. They harvest massive billions when your neglected engine violently explodes. Their entire empire relies aggressively on your complete scientific blindness. We will aggressively starve their massive mathematical system right now. You will violently reclaim your mechanical freedom starting today. This channel is a completely unforgiving off-grid financial survival movement. We aggressively hunt down multi-billion-dollar monopolies every single week. We violently strip away their highly expensive corporate lies entirely. We aggressively replace their expensive scams with pure, undeniable physics. Very soon, we will completely expose the $4 HVAC capacitor scam. We will violently reveal the $8 roofing sealant the cartel actively banned. You must immediately subscribe to this channel to survive financially. Do not click away from this video for a single second. If you leave now, the massive global auto cartel wins completely. You will continuously bleed thousands of dollars directly into their pockets. Hit the subscribe button right now to aggressively starve the system. We absolutely never sell you useless, drop-shipped mechanical products here. We violently armor your bank account against massive corporate predators. Stay completely locked in to aggressively reclaim your mechanical freedom. Rule 1. The Molecular Oil Shear. We begin aggressively with the absolute blood of your engine. The dealership mathematically commands you to change oil every 10,000 miles. This is a highly destructive, violently aggressive corporate lie. Your internal metal engine parts aggressively spin at 3,000 revolutions per minute. They ride completely on a microscopic 0.01-inch film of oil. At exactly 7,500 miles, the chemical oil chains completely collapse. The extreme 4,000-degree combustion heat violently shears the oil molecules entirely. Heavy metal violently slams into heavy metal without chemical protection. The dealership violently charges $8,500 to replace this destroyed engine block. You completely defeat this physics problem by replacing oil every 5,000 miles. You must aggressively demand API, SPE-full, synthetic motor oil strictly. The fresh synthetic molecules aggressively withstand 4,000-degree combustion heat perfectly. They violently maintain the 0.001-inch hydrodynamic lubrication barrier forever. Walk directly into the heavy automotive parts store, immediately. Grab a heavy 5-quart jug of pure synthetic oil for $35. Buy a premium, original equipment manufacturer oil filter aggressively. This $35 protocol violently saves your $8,500 engine from internal destruction. Rule 2. The oxygen ratio starvation. Rule 2. Aggressively attacks the respiratory system of your heavy machine. A dirty engine air filter violently chokes the vital oxygen supply. This aggressively destroys the perfect 14.7 to 1 air to fuel stoichiometric ratio. The engine violently runs rich, dumping raw liquid gas into cylinders. This raw fuel aggressively washes away the protective cylinder oil completely. The metal piston rings violently scrape against dry metal cylinder walls. You must aggressively replace the folded paper air filter every 15,000 miles. Walk to the parts store and aggressively purchase an OEM filter. Pop the heavy plastic airbox clips using your bare hands. Violently insert the fresh air filter to restore massive oxygen flow. This simple $15 physical action violently protects your engine cylinders forever. Rule 3. The injector pintle blockage. Rule 3. Violently attacks the massive fuel detergent crisis. Cheap discount gasoline violently clogs your microscopic fuel injector pintles. The complete lack of chemical detergents aggressively allows heavy carbon buildup. Your fuel injectors aggressively stop spraying a perfect microscopic liquid mist. They violently drip raw fuel like a heavily broken garden hose. You must violently demand top-tier detergent gasoline at the pump. Look aggressively for Shell, Chevron, Exxon, or Mobil gas stations strictly. Top-tier fuel aggressively mandates massive volumes of specialized chemical detergents. These violent detergents aggressively scrub the microscopic fuel injector nozzles perfectly clean. Rule 4. The polyethylamine phase change. Rule 4 aggressively dismantles the massive gasoline direct injection scam. Modern engines violently inject fuel directly into the scorching combustion chamber. Because liquid fuel completely bypasses the intake valves, they remain dry. Microscopic oil vapors violently bake onto these completely dry intake valves. They aggressively grow massive, diamond, hard solid carbon crusts over time. Dealerships aggressively charge $800 to mechanically blast this carbon using crushed walnuts. You will completely destroy this carbon using a powerful aerospace chemical. You must aggressively purchase a chemical called polyethylamine. This heavy nitrogen chemical aggressively survives the brutal 4,000-degree heat. It violently attacks the heavy baked carbon at a molecular level. It aggressively forces a massive phase change, vaporizing the solid carbon completely. Pour the entire $15 liquid bottle directly into an empty gas tank. Violently fill the heavy tank with top-tier detergent gasoline. Aggressively push the heavy engine past 4,000 revolutions per m in ute on the highway. The extreme heat violently activates the aggressive molecular phase change. Do this exactly every 5,000 miles to violently starve the dealership mechanics. Rule 5. The hydraulic transmission fire. Rule 5 violently exposes the massive lifetime transmission fluid lie. Automakers aggressively claim your automatic transmission is completely sealed forever. Your automatic transmission fluid aggressively burns at 220 degrees Fahrenheit constantly. The extreme friction violently destroys the vital chemical friction modifiers completely. The internal heavy clutch packs aggressively slip and completely burn to ashes. A dealership aggressively charges $4,500 to rebuild this melted metal box. You must aggressively demand fresh transmission fluid exactly every 50,000 miles. The fresh chemical friction modifiers aggressively restore massive internal hydraulic pressure. They violently cool the spinning clutch packs, preventing catastrophic transmission death. A simple $80 fluid drain violently saves your massive $4,500 transmission. Rule 6. The Galvanic Corrosion Acid. Rule 6 aggressively defeats the massive 150,000-mile coolant myth. Your factory engine coolant aggressively degrades completely after 48 short months. The vital alkaline chemical additives violently deplete completely inside the heavy radiator. The pH level drops violently, and the fluid becomes highly acidic. This aggressive acid violently triggers massive electrical galvanic corrosion inside. It aggressively eats your heavy aluminum engine block directly from inside out. It violently destroys the fragile internal water pump impeller blades entirely. Replacing a corroded aluminum heater core costs $2,000 in heavy labor. You must aggressively demand a complete coolant flush, exactly every 48 months. The fresh fluid aggressively restores the vital alkaline pH level entirely. This violently stops the destructive electrical galvanic corrosion dead in its tracks. I am violently giving you one final massive financial survival hack. Your electric fuel pump aggressively generates 150 degrees of continuous heat. It violently relies entirely on surrounding liquid gasoline to stay perfectly cool. The liquid fuel aggressively acts as a critical thermal heat sink. When your tank drops below a quarter, the pump is completely exposed. If you violently drive with an empty plastic tank, the wiring melts. Dropping a heavy gas tank to replace a dead pump costs $1,200. You must violently refuse to let the gas gauge drop below 1 quarter. Keeping a simple quarter tank of gas costs absolutely nothing extra. This aggressively prevents the fragile internal fuel pump from violently burning out. This is an aggressive rebellion against massive engineered corporate obsolescence completely. We violently refuse to accept highly fragile, completely disposable modern machines. We aggressively demand heavy equipment that lasts for massive decades entirely. The global auto cartel aggressively engineered your vehicle to fail rapidly. They violently buried these strict scientific chemical rules to protect massive profits. We aggressively exposed their highly mathematical scam using pure molecular science. You must aggressively share this video to violently starve the corrupt system. Send this aggressively to anyone paying massive dealership repair bills today. Do not let the massive auto cartel violently steal their wealth completely. We are aggressively building a massive army of mechanically independent citizens. We violently reject the massive $136 billion automotive repair industry entirely. Historical engineering violently survived massive crises using strict chemical maintenance completely. Modern corporate engineering violently shatters at exactly 65,000 driven highway miles. We aggressively bridge that massive gap using pure, unforgiving chemical truth. You aggressively hold the ultimate molecular protocol directly in your bare hands. Use it violently to completely armor your heavy vehicle forever. The massive global cartel violently prays. You forget this exact video completely. They aggressively hope you return blindly to their highly expensive service bays. We aggressively guarantee you will never pay them massive diagnostic fees again. Our aggressive off-grid survival movement completely destroys their entire financial model. You are aggressively awake to the exact reality of mechanical ownership. Next week, we violently expose the massive global home appliance cartel. We aggressively reveal the $4 capacitor that completely fixes dead air conditioners. We violently strip away their $5,000 replacement scam entirely using raw physics.